Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
It smells like bliss in the studio. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
I am blissed until early November.
Well, we might be okay this time. We might be okay because Hillary is in her health seems to be in decline. She's missing appearances. Some photographs or images on the internet show that she might have a catheter, probably from all of this coughing. And, she's been lying about her health. She feels fine, but she looks terrible. I mean, how could she look well anyway? But, and even the news sources on the internet are saying that the Electoral College votes seem to be in place for President Donald Trump. So maybe, just maybe this time, we won't be hoodwinked. Just maybe.
Interestingly, I think that reduces the chance of civil war from 75% to 50%.
Yeah. And that was something that I wanted to talk to you about today as well. There's some stories on the internet about some protests in North Carolina because the police shot dead a man who was in his car. And he was waiting for his son to get off the school bus, and he got shot in his car because the cops thought that he had a gun. He was reading a book. And I guess they figured that he was a black guy, and how could a black guy possibly have a book in his hands? So they thought it was a gun, and they executed him. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes, if that's okay with you. I wanted to talk about something that I am absolutely, I don't know what the word is. Surprised, overwhelmed. It's a procedure, Dr. Shealy, that's, it's called Scrotox. SCROTOX. So it is this procedure where people are having Botox injected in their testes.
Well, how crazy can you get?
Well, yeah, but it has so many benefits. For example, one benefit is that it can reduce wrinkles.
Okay, are you putting it on public display?
Well, well, maybe not. And then it is alleged to reduce sweating. Now, I'm serious about this. So here's the article. It's on dailymail.co.uk, and I'll post it on the website. It says the bizarre rise of Scrotox. Men are paying about £3,000 to have Botox injected in their private parts. And it says the treatment involves Botox injected in the testicles, and it allegedly decreases sweating and reduces wrinkles. But there's possible complications with this. And let me share this thought with you. I was telling John, our engineer, just as we're starting the broadcast about this, and he and I were reading the story together, and it reminds me of being out in the field last night with our cows, and we have this bull. He's a black bull. He weighs somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000 pounds. I have never seen this bull run. Now, his testicles, I don't mean to be too graphic, are huge. I mean huge. And if he went any faster than a very slow pace, he'd hurt himself. I mean, he would hurt himself. I would say that he's wearing something about the size of 2 cantaloupes between his legs. Why would any guy want to try to catch up to our bull? I mean, why would anybody want to do that?
You know, Vince, in my opinion, the world is crazy. This, to me, is among the most crazy possibilities that I've heard all year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's as crazy as trying a psychiatric drug. Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe worse, Dr. Shealy, because that might wear off, that psychiatric drug. This thing, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I see nothing, no redeeming value. This to me is, well, one of my most favorite books is about the madness of crowds and hysteria, essentially. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there've been these hysterical moments throughout history, from the South Sea bubble thing to tulip mania, you know, and people go crazy over nothing. And to me, this is slightly more dangerous than tulip mania, and is an indication of severe neurosis, if not psychoneurosis. I know I got to learn how to express myself, but
then you have Anthony Weiner, right? He was out there sending pictures of him in his underwear and without his underwear, and I would think that, you know, he might be signing up for this Scrotox treatment, or at least maybe thinking about it. I mean, this seems really sick to me, but there are possible complications, and but the benefits are just great. I mean, less wrinkles, and.
You know something? Honest to God, I have to admit, I've never even so much as thought about it.
Of course not. I mean, why would anybody think about this?
I mean, who cares?
Well, here's a guy. Let's see. According to this, I guess he is a cosmetic surgeon, and he's saying that the rise in men having Botox is staggering. Divorce rates are higher than ever, and men, as much as women, are aware that appearance is a key factor when attracting a new partner.
I thought it was looking at the face and the shoulders mainly.
Well, I can just. I don't even want to imagine, you know, going to some event where you meet people and you say, "Hey, have you seen? Let me show you."
Have you seen my Scrotox?
This is brand new. I got this morning, and I can hardly walk. But
I've heard of penis envy, but scrotum envy? I mean, come on.
Here we go. Kyle in Montana, welcome. You're on with Dr. Norm Shealy.
You know, Vince, I got to tell you, this has got nothing to do with my question, but you have the ability, you and Dr. Shealy together sometimes, when you get going, to put pictures in people's heads that
are not usually on radio.
I just can't believe this. That's great. But anyway,
Kyle, did you want the phone number? I've got the doctor's phone number.
Don't rush. It's not available till Monday.
I ain't quite that loony yet. You know, I think I'll have to go. It's like I was telling my wife the other day. I said, you know, some of these people, I can't even imagine putting myself into any kind of a mental place where that would ever even seem plausible. You know, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Like Dr. Shealy said, the world's gone crazy. I agree with him 100%.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Speaking of crazy, I've got a question for you. I was just thinking about something the other day, Dr. Shealy, and I was seeing more and more people depressed, in a sense of just bummed out, don't do anything kind of mentality. And I was wondering, this got me to thinking, is there any particular, or is it all, but is there any particular vitamin, mineral deficiency in people, that you could just take, say, a healthy guy, and if you deprived, or a woman, whoever, and you deprive them of these particular minerals or vitamins, whichever one that would be, that would cause depression?
Oh, yes. Basically, B-complex and tryptophan and lithium, all three of those are required to make serotonin, which is the number one chemical that I call the bright-eyed, bushy-tail wake-up hormone. Serotonin is a major, major contributor to happiness, enthusiasm, energy in the morning, especially, that sort of thing. And in today's world, first of all, we need, I think, a great deal more, especially a B-complex, than we did 50 years ago because of toxicity, which is so chemically prevalent. Secondly, so much of the food, like 80% of the food, is junk. So they're really, if 80% of your food is junk, you can't get the essential nutrients out of it. So there's no question that tryptophan, B-complex, and lithium orotate could help a huge percentage of people with depression. Interestingly, statistically, the easiest, because it works in 80% of people, is Air Bliss. It's less expensive, a lot simpler to put on Air Bliss, which apparently mainly just boosts your oxytocin level. But that must somehow mitigate the problem with tryptophan as well.
But it would not, Air Bliss would not give you those vitamins, correct?
No.
But it would just increase the mood level.
Exactly. And before your FDA banned tryptophan back in about 1991 or 2, because one of the 7 companies in Japan had toxicity in it, and they banned all of them. Well, we'll continue after the break.
Yeah, Kyle, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Kyle in Montana and Dr. Norm Shealy. This is USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and Kyle, USA Prepares Instructors, calling in from Montana. Kyle, please continue.
Well, it was just a thought, on those on the depression thing. I was just happened to be thinking about it last week. But I also had a tip for the gardeners out there if they wanted to jump into it real quick, and then I'll let you and Dr. Shealy get back on your the major role that you guys are on here. But the gardeners out there, you might want to check with your city that you're close to, because more than likely, when they pick up all the leaves from one year, they will pile them up and let them just sit there and rot all through the summer. And if you get in before the leaves start dropping, a lot of times they will just load you up for free to get rid of a bunch of those old leaves for your garden. And I picked up probably close to 4,000 pounds in my trailer just yesterday. And they loaded it right for me in this little town that we're close to. But you might want to check with Springfield or one of those places and just see if they have a whole bunch of already composted leaves.
Great point.
Anyway,
Dr. Shealy?
Yeah, that's
Dr.
true,
Shealy, your thoughts?
actually. The most important thing, of course, if you do use city leaves that have been composted, and I know Springfield does offer that, you really ought to compost them, I think, for a minimum of 18 months before you put them on your garden. And the reason for that is I would bet that 90% of the leaves collected in Springfield or any city have had pesticides and herbicides lavished on the lawns. So you're bringing into your garden a significant toxins that I would not like. On the other hand, I'd feel comfortable if I composted at least 18 months.
And that gives the toxins time to break down?
Right. I think the fungi that do the normal detoxification would get rid of most of the pesticide and herbicide junk.
Okay, Kyle, any comments?
Yeah. No, I just throwing that out there for people that might want to try it. It's just you had Len Pence on the other day, and he was saying that 80% of all the vitamins and minerals and stuff that your garden needs are just in composted leaves. So anyway,
yeah, that was Mike Knox of White Harvest Seed. Yeah, and Mike Knox and Len Pence are both instructors at USA Prepares, and they're also friends of each other as well. Very good. And they both talk about gardening and seeds and seed savings and the importance of growing your own food. All right, Kyle. Hey, thanks so much.
Well, I got one more question for you, Vince.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
You're on your intro to your program. It mentions there that you can text at that number. Is that still available, or you don't have a cell phone?
No, I have to fix that. Dr. Shealy mentioned that to me, and I use a guy's voice for that, and I have to send him a request to edit that out. But no, there is no more texting. I don't have a cell phone, and I haven't for quite some time. But I feel bad for the poor guy who's got that number.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, he's getting texts all the time. I don't know nothing about what you're talking about.
Yeah, he might have an anger management problem by now.
Well, especially if he don't want to hear anything about Botox to the scrotum, kind of things.
Yeah.
All right, I'll let you guys go.
Okay.
And thanks, Vince. It's a great show as usual.
And thanks so much. Yes, Kyle in Montana.
Any other major oral, if you will, outlet where you could get this information on scrotox?
Dr. Shealy, there's a story many years ago about AT&T, and there was this. They were in a big city, and there was this guy who had a phone number that was very much like the AT&T's store's telephone number, and this guy kept getting calls for AT&T, misdialed calls, a lot of them. And he had a business, and he called AT&T, and they said, well, you have to change your number. And this guy said, no, I've had this number a long time. Why don't you change your number? And they got into this little war, and AT&T wouldn't back down. So what this guy did was whenever he got one of those calls requesting telephone repair or service, he would say, no, we don't do that anymore. Just throw your phone away. Just throw it away. And AT&T backed down. I'll tell you the rest when we come back. Class, if you'd like to call us and speak with Dr. Norm Shealy and ask him your medical questions, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. And if you'd like to take us with you as you travel, we have a listen line, 605-477-3249, 605-477-3249. And of course, you can download the archives, the podcasts from GCNlive.com, Republic Broadcasting, YouTube. They're all available right there. And we've got Miguel in South Carolina. Welcome.
Hi, Vince. Hi, Dr. Shealy. How are you?
Wonderful. What's going on?
I have a question for you. Maybe I think that you might know about this, but anyway, I decided to get your opinion. Well, when I was young, I used to be a bodybuilder. I did it for about 7 years. Then I went to the university and I quit working out for the last 30 years. But a couple of years ago, I decided to go back to train and because of my health and getting older, you need to take care of yourself. So But my question is, there is a product that is very popular right here in the U.S. and maybe different other countries. The name is creatine. Let me spell it for you because I might be doing it wrong. It's Creatine.
Creatinine, yes.
Okay. My question is, I heard so many things positive, but I also heard so many things negative about that. That it affects the liver, the kidneys, and all that stuff. Personally, I know a guy that he was a friend, and this guy was lifting weights, and he got pretty big. I don't know if he used any other substances or not. But the thing is that maybe about 3 years ago, he went to the doctor, and he lost one of his kidneys. The doctor told him that because he used too much creatine.
Yep.
Now, I want your opinion on this because I tried myself for about 6 weeks, and be honest with you, I start to feel a little discomfort on my back, on my kidney, and I don't know if it was my head, knowing that my friend went through this, or it was just me, or really there are some side effects that people don't say because, there are so many lies in the industry that you don't know what's going on. So you need to be careful with what you do. And I left it and I never touched it again. But it's been on my head always this question. Is it real or is it not? What is your opinion about that?
I would not take it personally. The problem is you must markedly increase your water intake when you do something like creatine.
That's right.
Creatinine. And if you want the best supplement to help you with muscles, I think whey protein isolate is far, far better and safer.
Yeah. Yeah, I took the creatine, and it does a little bit of change in your muscle looks and all that. But to me, it's not worth the risk that you take because in the long time you might have more troubles than what it's worth for. And I believe myself in a natural development if you're gonna get anywhere. But because that's the way I was trained when I was young. Creatine or even protein, they were not available. It was just eggs and meat and all the natural things. And I believe in that myself. I don't like to take any drugs, and I decided to try just to see. But to me, it didn't work out the way it was. And I don't even take no protein because a lot of those things, they are processed food anyway, and you don't know what they put, those fillers that they put, a lot of garbage. It's hard to know what you're eating other than what you grow yourself or you know what you're getting. So I try to stay on the organic side, everything I can, which is impossible sometimes, but I always try to do the best on that. But I was just trying to get your opinion on that because, like you say, if you wouldn't take it, I wouldn't take it either. I just try, but to me it's not good. But they swear so much about this product on internet and on the bodybuilder environment that is good, that is great. But it's always my question. And I know this guy that he lost his kidney. So I say, what is the reality on this? So that's my question, and I appreciate your help.
Well, the reality is be very modest if you do it and drink lots of water. But personally, I would not do it.
Yeah, I did it myself, and I drink a lot of water. No matter what I use or not, protein, I still drink a lot of water because it's part of my health. But I increased even my water intake when I was taking this, and I did it only for 6 weeks, and I started to feel a little funny on the back. And I say, I thought that it was the workout, but I realized then that it was, and then I eliminated. And I never have any troubles again. I've been training for the last couple of years now, and I feel good. So, but I always want to ask you that, and I am glad that I got to you today. And I thank you for your time, and thank you, Vince, for everything you do for us, because there are many people that will love you and appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Miguel. I'm delighted to congratulate you on taking care of your body.
Yeah.
And
3% of Americans get adequate exercise. And probably not more than 0.5% do any weight stuff.
Okay.
And Miguel, for being sensible, and for being sensible about it, and doing the research to make sure that you don't make mistakes and get hurt in the process. I congratulate you, seriously.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, when I was young, I should never quit training because I was in very good shape, but I went to the university. I think you got a degree in economics. I got a degree in economics too from my country. And, I left the bodybuilding because I chose that career, which at the end didn't work. But, I mean, the knowledge, nobody will take it away from you. And you got a very vision about everything in life. Either you use it or not, still that knowledge is there. And that's something that is very important to me. And I thank you for everything, like I say. And I don't know, I think I heard that you got a degree in economics. And so we are alike.
I've studied finance and economics, and I have a bachelor's degree in both and a master's degree in both. But I want to tell you, Miguel, when you said that, I kind of got a smile on my face because I was thinking about the times that the university calls me and begs for money, they want me to donate because I attended those universities. And whenever they do, our children get a grin on their face because they see me say, "Oh, I'm so glad you called. This is about my refund, right?" because the information that they taught me does not apply in so many respects to the current economy. I was taught, believe it or not, that if you wanted to have a successful business, that you had to have either a great idea, a great product, a great team. You had to have vision, and you had to have customers. But in today's marketplace, like Wells Fargo, they don't even ask permission to create accounts for you. They have been creating accounts for their customers fraudulently using their credit card accounts. Yeah. So I mean that's what business is today. It's like, for example, if you sign up for Skype and you want to be able to call, anywhere in the country or Canada, you can get it for $2.99 per month. You give them your credit card and you're good to go. Just try to find out how to cancel that. So you do it. There's nobody to call. You can't call them. There's no phone number that you can call. And it's buried deep within their website how to cancel. And it's miserable. And that's a Microsoft company. I believe that Microsoft bought Skype. So they're in the business of not letting go of your throat or your wallet once you become a customer.
Right.
Anyway,
I consider Bill Gates and Microsoft part of the greatest evil empire.
That's right. You're right on that.
I'm so glad you said that, Dr. Shealy, because Bill Gates is talking about how we need to immunize people to prevent disease, and at the same time, he says that there are too many people on the planet, and then what we find out is when we immunize people in Africa, they get sick.
Right. Yeah, what is so sad is that this guy is doing all this in all those undeveloped countries, and people by ignorance, because they don't know what's going on, they use it, and suddenly they are dying. Because in my country, I see so much. I mean, when I was young, I never heard about Alzheimer's in my country. I never heart disease and cancer and so many illness that people has in my country now that they didn't exist, and it's because all this garbage that people are taking over there, and the purpose, like you and many people know, is to eliminate most of the human kind or human beings, and these programs appear like they are great for people, but they are really not. I mean, they are just a target, to eliminate and make people sick and miserable. And because if you're sick and you're miserable, they can manage your life. They can do whatever they want with you, and you don't have no brain to think about it. And that's what's going on around the world. And the United States, unfortunately, is one of the places. But I just want to tell people also, while I am on the air, that I used to have a lot of trouble with my joints, and that's why it took me so long to go back to exercising. And I started to take omega-3. Omega-3 is a great product. I mean, it allowed me, and I know many people who do that take omega-3, that is good for inflammation, and it's amazing what it does for you. So anybody who suffers from inflammation and joint discomfort and all this, I mean, omega-3 is a great product. You have to search and because there are so many things that they claim that they are good and this and that. But if you find a good product, a good brand, I mean, it's a great product to take every day, and it will make a big difference in your life. So that's what I need to say.
Miguel. I think we should start a worldwide petition to immunize Bill Gates in the scrotum with 100 different diseases.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
Dr. Shealy, I'm glad you're mentioning him because years ago I used to have a company that manufactured computers, and Bill Gates and crowd would sell Windows, and it would be defective for $89. And then if you wanted to fix for it, no problem. You get the next version of Windows. And that would have defects in it. And if you wanted to fix it, no problem. No problem. You get the next version. And imagine if the auto company did that. You know, they'd sell defective cars and just get a new car. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us in class. If you'd like to go to his website, normshealy.com. N-O-R-M, as in Norman, N-O-R-M, SHEALY.com. And that's where you can find answers to your questions about health. It's all there, and it's free. And if you'd like to sign up for the free newsletter, same location, normshealy.com. Dr. Shealy, my mom used to listen to AM radio when I was growing up, and one of the hosts of a broadcast was Dr. Carlton Fredericks. And he was a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and he would broadcast out of a very large, powerful AM radio station in New York. And he would talk about health and nutrition and supplements. And then we listened to another guy who was advocating cod liver oil. And his name was Dale Alexander, and he was known as the Cod Father, C-O-D Father. And have you heard of him?
Sorry,
Dale
no, I'm just thinking that it's coming back to the beginning of the program from the Middle Ages when they used to have cod pieces.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you that I listened to Dale Alexander talking about cod liver oil and how it lubricates the joints and the bones and the hair and the skin, and you'll look youthful longer. And I remember we had some ducks in the backyard, and they got rheumatism. It got really cold, and their feet got really cold, and then they could hardly walk. And my mom followed the advice of Dr. Carlton Fredericks and gave the ducks some cod liver oil, and pretty soon they were walking, and they were fine again. And I give my mom's dog here at the farm cod liver oil every day. Every day I give him a small amount of cod liver oil, and he's probably, I don't know, he's close to 12 years old now, and he was having trouble walking, and now he's getting around just fine. So there's a lot to these fish oils, as I've seen firsthand, no question about it. And some people say that I look a little bit younger than my years, and if that's the case, I attribute that to avoiding work.
Well, there are many things about it. There's nothing wrong with cod liver oil, of course. The problem is if you take an overdose of it, it can cause vitamin A toxicity, not vitamin D. So if you get more than, long-term, more than 5,000 units of vitamin A a day, regular fish-type vitamin A, it can be toxic to your brain.
And would that cause nosebleeds?
Oh, yeah, it could cause all kinds of things, including severe headaches.
Okay. So I guess the answer is don't overdose on cod liver oil. But on the whole, Dr. Shealy, would you recommend it as a supplement or not?
Well, I prefer to take my omega-3 separately and my vitamin D separately because, in general, I prefer astaxanthin from my vitamin A.
Right.
And I'm just leery of, there's so many things where they've added vitamin A to it. And vitamin A is a family of things, one of which is the vitamin A found in fish liver. But we don't need any vitamin A per se. We only need the family. And there's beta-carotene, and there's lutein, and there's all kinds of things. But my favorite vitamin A is astaxanthin.
And then for fish oils, Kyani Sunset?
Yes. Well, no, that's not enough. For me, that is adequate for most people, but I use that, but I also take a couple of thousand units of regular vitamin omega-3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got to ask you a question. Yesterday, I was out picking up this 40-foot ladder. Now, this ladder is the very same ladder that I've moved, hundreds of miles, if not thousands of miles from wherever I've lived to wherever I've lived. And it's 40 feet, and it'll reach a 3-story window easily. And I remember when I was younger, and I bought this ladder probably in 1979, I could pick that thing up, walk around with it, lean it against the building, raise it up, lower it. I picked it up yesterday. I think gravity has increased. That ladder, it's a lot heavier. So my question is, what happened to that ladder, and how come it got so heavy? Maybe we can talk a little bit about that when we come back, Dr. Shealy. That's right after top of the hour news and commercial announcements. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and Dr. Shealy, during the last hour, I was talking about this 40-foot ladder that I bought probably in 1979. I was renovating a 3-story Victorian house, and I needed to get up, high to paint it, and on the outside. And I remember being able to get that ladder off the ground, put it vertically, raise it up, climb up that ladder, and I looked up the weight of it. It was about 89 pounds for this 40-foot D-rung extension ladder. But I've noticed that, yesterday when I picked up that very same ladder, it was not a different ladder, it was the very same ladder that I've owned since 1979. That ladder's gotten really heavy. So what is it that made that ladder so heavy?
Well, Vince, when I was 19, after 3 years of weightlifting, I could lift 250 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I quit doing weightlifting when I went to medical school, and that was 65 years ago. And, I can lift 50 pounds now, and I probably could train for 100, but
mm-hmm.
you lose the ability to lift weight is totally proportional to how much weightlifting you do. And if you don't
mm-hmm.
routinely lift more than you can handle, your muscles just lose their ability to lift those weights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yesterday afternoon, I lifted half of a calf. And here's an interesting story, Dr. Shealy. So I got a call from our son. He was in the next field over. And he communicated that I needed to bring some water and a lasso and a truck over to the field where he was with my wife. And there was a calf that was wheezing, really seriously wheezing. And so he lassoed the calf, I should say. And it's probably just maybe a 150-pound calf, a relatively new calf. And so my son and I picked up the calf, and I got half, he got half, and we put him in the back of the pickup truck bed to take him down the road about, maybe a mile to our farmhouse, where we put him in a pen where we could watch him. And we talked to the veterinarian. He said inject him with LA-300, which is a long-acting antibiotic. It's a broad-spectrum antibiotic for cattle. And the calf seems to be improving. However, I stopped at the farm supply place, and I got some milk replacer. And because we're going to be bottle feeding this calf 3-4 times a day, roughly a half a gallon at a time. And I said to one of the senior guys there, are you experiencing calves that are wheezing right now? He said, oh, yeah. I said, what are you doing about it? He said, antibiotics. And I said, okay, so what's causing it? He said, I don't know. So here we have, and it appears that this calf might have pneumonia. And it appears that we're not the only farm. According to the farm supply guy, no, we are absolutely not the only farm. There are plenty of farms that have calves with pneumonia. And I don't remember hearing stories about a lot of calves with pneumonia. And so I'm wondering if this could be coming from the sky, if it could be coming from the humidity. I mean, we've got a lot of humidity. It's oppressive right now, the heat and the humidity in our neck of the woods. And there is a chemical injection called Banamine. Have you heard of that, Dr. Shealy? It's an anti-inflammatory.
I think it was available when I was in medical school.
Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if that's something, the veterinarian said, okay, use some Banamine. And it's kind of like a miracle drug to help these conditions and help animals recover quickly or faster or more vigorously. What are your thoughts on Banamine?
That's really interesting because I'm looking it up because I may be wrong. Maybe it's something it's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. So Banamine. Okay. There used to be something that sounded almost exactly like that was quieting down an irritated intestine. This is it's sort of like an injectable aspirin or one of those things.
Right. Banamine, for those who...
That's what it is. It's an anti-inflammatory. And, in general, I think it's probably safe for a single injection. I'd be concerned about it long-term, using it over and over.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that I also wanted to talk with you about. And it seems that veterinarians are having a tougher time operating their businesses. And here's why. It seems that the feds are interested in preventing veterinarians from selling medications. So, for example, we used to be able to go to the veterinarian and say, okay, we'd like to buy, 15, 20, 50 syringes for our cows. We'd like to buy some reusable syringes for our cows in different sizes, different needles, buy plenty of needles, in case we had to inject them with anything that, like an antibiotic or something if they got sick. And we wanted to have them on hand. And if we wanted to have antibiotic liquid injectables, we could get that. If we wanted antibiotics for our cats or dogs or other animals, we could buy them there. Now what's happening is it seems that the federal government is trying to prevent veterinarians from selling drugs to farmers. And what they're doing now is they're starting to write prescriptions. And then you take that prescription to a pharmacy. So you go see the veterinarian, and then the veterinarian writes a prescription, and then you take it to a pharmacy to get the same drugs that you might get for people, humans, but you can't get them as easily now from
typical evil FDA. What else can you say?
Mm-hmm. And it's annoying because I would like to have those medicines here on the farm because our family's pretty big. It's well over 100 of us here at the farm, and sometimes some of our four-legged family members get sick, and sometimes the pharmacies aren't available for visiting, and it's a nuisance. If we call our veterinarian, they go, "Oh yeah, that's real easy. Here's all you have to do is 3 cc's of this," and we certainly know how to do that. Our son was an intern at a veterinarian's clinic, so he was taught how to do those kinds of things and certainly knows how to do them, and they trust that he knows how to do them. And so what's the problem? I mean, gosh, and so a house call, a house call for a cow is pretty expensive, and And you can't always get a veterinarian to come out because sometimes they're busy. And what's happening is veterinarians really don't make a lot of money. They really don't. And some of the veterinarians that we've run into and have used for years are saying things like, it's so complicated now. We'd love to stay in business, but the rules, regulations, and constraints are so great that we're probably going to give up at the end of the year. That's the kind of things that we're hearing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's awful.
Well, the government is at least as bad and even worse at times than Bill Gates. They both suck. But other than that.
Yep. Let's see. So the story about AT&T, this guy, I guess the rest of the story, or just to finish up, this guy had a store, and he was in a marketplace in a city where AT&T had a store, and his number was similar to AT&T's. He was there first, had the number for years and years and years, and he got a lot of misdialed calls, number transpositions or something like that. And he tried to get AT&T to change their number because they were the new guys in town. And AT&T gave him a hard time and said, no, you changed your number. And so what he did was very clever. He just said, when people, and this was probably back in the 80s, people would call when they'd want their phone to be fixed, or they'd want warranty service, or they'd want AT&T to come out and with a service call. And he would just say, no, we don't do that anymore. We don't fix phones anymore. Just throw them away. No, we don't come out to your house anymore. And he just made it seem like AT&T was the most miserable business on the planet. And finally, AT&T changed their number because they just couldn't take any more of the damage that this guy was doing to their business. So I'm sure there are cases where we can apply this kind of technique in our lives class. So, you may have to take on the 800-pound gorilla. And that's just one strategy. The strategy I used is I'm always confused whenever they ask me for something, and I just hold up the works, and it's very hard for me to understand. And I want to make sure I comply, but I need to make sure I fully understand what they want me to do. And it takes a long time, and the line behind me gets longer. And that's just kind of how I handle it. So I try to help. I try to be helpful. I do it with a smile on my face, but I'm really confused almost all the time, and it works.
Well, you cannot help but be confused when idiots and evil people run the world.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right, Dr. Shealy. And can we talk about birth control pills? And here's my question. I was talking with one of our instructors a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the effects of birth control pills. And what happens, after, or what happens to a woman's body when they take these birth control pills? Is that one of the reasons why their hormones are so changed that they like these bad boys? So does birth control affect women liking bad boys instead of good boys? We'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and we'll get back to the birth control pills in just a couple minutes. Sharon in Montana, welcome. You're on with Dr. Norm Shealy.
Yeah, good morning. I have a question that Dr. Shealy's probably tired of answering, but I'm going to actually write it down. And then another one I don't think he's covered. The one is, what is the ratio of vitamin D to K? I've heard him tell us this before, but I'm usually working while I listen to your program, and I haven't been able to write it down.
Well, if you're healthy, actually 5,000 to 7,000 units of D3 daily, depending upon your weight, and 100 micrograms of K2. On the other hand, if you have... I'm sorry?
Well, I'm sorry, I take the 50 a week. How many would I take of the K2 then?
100 micrograms.
Okay.
But...
I always get confused on that. Sorry.
If you have any problem, then actually I recommend 15 milligrams of K2.
Oh, really?
Well, it's not much more expensive than the 100 micrograms, and it's totally safe, and it enhances your immune system tremendously with the vitamin D3. So personally, even though I have no problems, and theoretically can get by with 100 micrograms. I take the 15 milligrams because it's so safe, and therefore, partly I think it's part of why my immune system is so good.
Probably. So where do you get that? Because our health food store,
you won't find it at a health food store or a pharmacy. Only one company makes it that I know of. You will find it on my website.
On your website, okay. Okay, the second one I don't recall you ever covering is the use of colloidal silver. Does it conflict with any medicines that you know of?
Well, the only problem with K2 is if you're on warfarin or Coumadin.
No, I'm jumping to colloidal silver now.
No. I'm sorry. Colloidal silver, to my knowledge, has no contraindication with any drug.
Okay, that's what I thought, but, I never really had a good way to find out. So that's all I really needed to know, but thank you. Now I got the D and K2 stuff figured out. That'll be helpful. Thank you.
Perfect.
Sharon, before you go, I just want to, for point of clarification, Dr. Shealy, 5,000 to 7,000 units of D3 daily and 100 micrograms of K2. Is that daily or weekly?
Daily.
Daily. Okay.
K2 is
Sharon,
daily.
did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Yes,
yeah,
K2 is water-soluble. The vitamin D is fat-soluble. That's why the difference.
Oh, okay. Got that. Yeah, that makes a difference. Okay, yeah, like I said, I'm actually just sitting here so I can write this information down. I hear your program all the time, but I'm usually working around outside and everything. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Hey, thank you, Sharon.
Bye.
Okay, so Dr. Shealy, birth control pills. Is there
I think they are one of the great plagues of the world.
Uh-huh.
And I can tell you unequivocally that my wife and I both chose from the beginning, when they came out, never, ever, ever to use them. They totally screw up your whole endocrine system. If you're on them for 2 or 3 years, getting your pituitary, your ovaries, your thyroid, your adrenals back to normal can take you years. They totally disrupt the normal hypothalamic pituitary axis. I could go on and on about it if you would like, but
yeah, I think that would be worth doing, Dr. Shealy, because the question that came up when I was discussing this with one of our instructors is that there seems to be a tendency for these very pretty young high school girls and being attracted to these bad boys. I mean, boys that are headed for trouble in their lives, boys that are not as productive as they could be. And why is it that these girls are attracted to these thugs in training, or thugs to be, or thugs
because
compared
they're more
to
aggressive. The boys, those boys are much more aggressive.
Okay, and does the use of birth control pills cause a disruption in the body of these young girls to make them want to be with these boys? And then,
well, I don't know whether it makes them hornier, but we can discuss that after a bit.
Okay, let's discuss that when we come back. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and then let's talk about these killer pills, these baby killer pills. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. That's normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. So, Dr. Shealy, the question that we were talking about was, is there an effect of birth control pills on these young girls in high school, maybe college, that causes them to be attracted toward the bad boys? And when they stop this birth control mechanism, these pills, have their bodies been changed to the point where maybe having children in the future might be impacted? Might they have deformed children in the future as a result of this?
Well, all of these things are part of the problem. Birth control pills first became available in 1960, 1 year after we were married. Now, from the beginning, we chose to use a diaphragm plus spermaticidal cream. Diaphragm plus spermaticidal cream is approximately as effective as the pill. The pill is only 91% effective in preventing pregnancy. So you got to recognize you've got a 9% chance of becoming pregnant even when you take the pill. And you have, if you take it more than a year, especially, you've got probably a 100% chance of some kind of long-term health problem. It markedly increases the risk of migraine. It increases the risk of stroke in young women. It increases the risk of hypertension in young women. It does sometimes, again, after they've been on it for 2 or 3 years, they become much less fertile, and if they suddenly want to have children, it might take them 3 to 5 years before they can conceive. Personally, I think it's a disaster that girls should use the diaphragm and spermaticidal cream. Now, remember, that takes at least 5 minutes of preparation, and if you can't wait 5 minutes and be prepared, well, good luck.
So, Dr. Shealy, we're seeing, and I believe we're seeing an increase. I'm reading more stories on the internet about people, families trying to conceive, and they're going to clinics because they're having trouble conceiving. Now, is what you said one of the reasons?
It is one of the reasons, but perhaps the greatest reason is male fertility.
Right.
When I was in medical school, the sperm count was like 150 million. It is now 40 million. So it has decreased by a huge percentage. And by the way, when it gets down to 20 million, which may well happen in the next 20 years, we become infertile. Actually, the chances of a male being able to get a woman pregnant when it gets down to 20 million are pretty slim.
And so Bill Gates is probably smiling because he and the unelected rulers are being successful in getting us to reduce population and the birth defects. And that was another question, Dr. Shealy. How about these baby killer pills? So a woman has sex and she says, you know what, I really don't want to have a child. So she takes one of these baby killer pills, and she does not become pregnant. What happens in the long run when later on she decides that she does want to have a child? Has she damaged her body, her reproductive system with one of these baby killer pills, like maybe an RU486 type pill?
Yes, there's some evidence of that also. Again, even that single time, that's a much more powerful insult to the endocrine system. Now, there are 2 ways of looking at this, Vince. One is, obviously, an unwanted child is a disaster. I mean, it's truly a disaster. Personally, I have long recommended that women who are not married and get pregnant put the child up for adoption, period, end of report. There are many better chances for that child to go into a family eager to adopt it than to raise it unwanted. On the other hand, I don't believe in abortion, personally. I'm not Catholic, but I still don't believe in abortion. To me, a living fetus is a living person. And yet, our society it's part of the craziness of our society. You know, people used to wait to have sex until they got married. And a majority, huge majority. Today, that's not true. Huge percentage of people not only have casual sex, if you will, but more than one partner and live-ins and all kinds of things, which I don't consider healthy emotionally, psychologically. But that's just my old-fashioned Victorian, perhaps, opinion.
Dr. Shealy, there are plenty of series that you can watch on Netflix, like House of Cards, Scandal. There's one called Quantico, which is about the FBI. And you look at these people, and these are series that relate to government jobs, the White House, politicians, and you see that these people are just like a whole bunch of Bill Clintons. They just can't keep their zipper down. And if they find a female, they just, jump on her, or vice versa. It's unbelievable. And it's being shown as, oh, this is just the way it is. This is normal. This is the way it is. And, so I think Hollywood is lowering the bar so that, we tend to watch or believe what we see on the screen as being real. And I think that's part of the reason why our morals are collapsing at an increasing rate.
Oh, so, I totally agree. In fact, Vince, I consider television to be the single most awful, painful, horrible, despicable, useless, harmful creation other than nuclear energy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see no purpose in it. There might be 1% of the time something worthwhile from an artistic point of view. I'm not willing to waste my time 99% of the time in order to find the 1% good. So I don't watch television.
There's a company called Great Courses, and they produce videos. And when our children were homeschooled, we bought a number of their courses. And what they do is they take nominations from across the country from students who think that their instructor is just the best of the best of the best. And then the nominations, those instructors, whether they be college or high school, get contacted by Great Courses. They're interviewed. And if they're really, really good, they go on stage and they get recorded for video in their lessons, and they provide lesson after lesson after lesson. So it's like going to a year's worth of school with that particular instructor on video. And I decided I wanted to learn more about electronics. And I bought a video series from Great Courses about electronics and electricity. And so I decided that would be good, something good for our son to watch with, mom and dad, or just whoever wants to watch it and learn more about electronics, because I don't think it's possible to be a farmer without understanding a lot more about electricity. And that's just one lesson that's available in Great Courses. So from that perspective, the blue screen, the TV screen, can be used to our advantage. Now, these courses aren't free, and you can find some of them on eBay, and that's where I got this particular one. Some of these courses are now $300 or more. Some of them you can get them on sale at 80% off, which is kind of nice, and I certainly don't buy them unless they're on a deep, deep discount. But there's a lot of things that you can learn, even about the mind, even about history, and whatever you're interested in. Great Courses is something you might want to take a look at. And I've been unsuccessful, but I'd like to get a representative from Great Courses to come on the air with us, maybe every 6 weeks or so, and tell us about, a great lesson and lesson plan and course that we should consider paying attention to. So that's just one thought about how we can use television to our advantage. Dr. Shealy, are there some that you found that you really like?
No, but I haven't looked.
Okay. No, I don't mean about Great Courses, but videos that you think, or YouTube videos that you think. You're on YouTube.
Well, I put lots of things on YouTube. I have to admit, I don't go looking. Mm-hmm. Vince, I am so busy trying to keep up with email and reading. I prefer books to everything in whatever time I can find for myself. I read an average of one book a week at least. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I spend most of my time trying to keep up with email. I mean, right now, having been very, very busy all summer, I'm only 828 emails behind.
Yeah. Yep. It's impossible for me to even peruse my emails. It's literally impossible. And so my apologies go out to all those who are trying to get in touch with me via email. It's tough. Farming and I can't do it when I'm on the air because I'm a guy. I can only do one thing at a time. I'm not like Mrs. Finelli.
And I honestly, I don't feel as if I'm missing much by not watching television.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I feel as if I'm actually saving my health.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I consider, since I sit on an exercise ball when I'm working at my computer,
mm-hmm.
I consider that infinitely healthier than sitting on a couch.
Sure. Dr. Shealy, not only do you read a lot of books, but you write a lot of books. Can you tell us about, energy medicine? You wrote a book about energy medicine, and I know a physician who considers that her favorite book in the world, your book on energy medicine. Can you tell us just give us a thumbnail sketch of what that book is about and what it means. We'll be right back. Class, if you're in need of handgun, rifle, shotgun, ammunition, accessories, or some advice from those behind the tables at the coming up arcade gun shows, that's September 24th and 25th. Gray, Tennessee, Germantown, Tennessee, Conyers, Georgia. That's September 24th and 25th in these locations. Gray, Tennessee, Germantown, Tennessee, and Conyers, Georgia. And if you're interested in meeting Rick Miller, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Craig Douglas, Matt Stein, Stormin Norman Cantwell, or me, we'll be at the October 1st and 2nd Arcade Prepper shows. All of us will be presenting, and you can join us there, and maybe we can even have dinner together. So Dutch treat. That's October 1st and 2nd, KCI Expo Center in Kansas City, Missouri. Information on the website, USA Prepares, or rkpreppershows.com. Dr. Shealy, energy medicine. What can you share with us in a few minutes about energy medicine? What is it? What does it mean? And how does it work?
Well, everything is energy. Therefore, conventional medicine, which is primarily drugs and surgery, is part of energy. I think that what is meant by energy medicine is everything except drugs and surgery. In other words, all of the other healing modalities, all of the other things that, are used by physicians, healers, alternative practitioners, holistic practitioners, etc. So it includes a wide variety of touch, non-touch. It includes the use of nutrition and supplements. It includes all kinds of electrical and electromagnetic devices. It includes all kinds of spiritual healing, the laying on of hands, Reiki, massage, osteopathy, chiropractic, even the use of exercise, of course, because, health is really dependent upon 5 things. Eating real food, a minimum of 5 servings a day of fruits and vegetables, not smoking, keeping your weight normal, exercising a minimum of 30 minutes 5 days a week, and sleeping 7 or 8 hours every night. If people have those 5 habits, 90% of illnesses will never occur. In other words, 90% of illnesses are the result of not having one or more of those essential habits. And by the way, only 3% of Americans have all of them.
As I think about what you just said, it reminded me of those who are riding around in scooters at the Chinese factory outlet. So they walk in there and then they hop on one of these scooters and they go shopping. Dr. Shealy, if a person takes that attitude, it's easier to ride than it is to walk. And then, and it's easier to just get in one of those lazy boys and watch TV. Is this a spiral downward where, the less we walk, the less we can walk, the less we can walk? I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse over time. Is that the way this goes? Meaning use it or lose it?
You got it. And it begins at home early in childhood. It begins probably by the age of 2 in most people, depending upon what the parents start the people on.
Reminds me of a broadcaster who called me up and he said, so what are you doing? And, I was telling him about things I was doing on the farm. He goes, oh, man, you're too old to be doing that. You can't be going chasing cows and baling hay. No. I was thinking, are you kidding? I mean, I'm too old to be doing this? I don't think so.
I've seen 90-year-olds doing it, Ben.
There you go. Dr. Norman Shealy, thank you so much for being with us. And class, if you'd like that book, Energy Medicine, you can go to normshealy.com. Norm
and my
Shealy.
next one, Blueprint for Holistic Healing, will be out this week.
This week. Well, can we talk about that next week?
Yes.
There you go. Dr. Norman Shealy, thank you so much. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.